Timotab, and today I'm going to solve The Hive by Katie Splendor. Before we get to that, though, I am going to be doing my first ever live stream this coming Saturday. It will not be on this YouTube channel, it will be on the sudoku Twitch stream, and I will provide a link to that in the description. sudoku is a annual convention, I guess, now. The inaugural event was earlier this year in Boston, Massachusetts, and the next event will be in end of July, beginning of August next year in Manchester in the UK. I hope to be there, but at the moment I can't guarantee that. But we will see. It is an event that that brings together people in person for Sudoku and Sudoku adjacent activities. I didn't go last year, but some of the events that took place were some Sudoku setting events and learning how to set snack dokus. There were some events for competitive solving and talks about puzzle design and the like. So I will link to the website, link to the Twitch stream, and you can go check that out. What I will be doing is I will be solving a puzzle that I have not seen, and the constructor of that puzzle, Niverio, will also be on the stream, and we will be discussing not just my solve of it, but also talking a bit about the design and telegraphing, trying to help people figure out where to look. So that will be this coming Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Time in the US, which is 8 p.m. 8 p.m. GMT in the UK, and you'll have to figure out your local time zone for that. But if you set up the remind me on the Twitch stream, it should ping you at the appropriate time for you. So, all right. With that said, if you would like to try this puzzle, it will be the first link in the description. And now we can have a look at the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we're going to place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every box. Dutch whispers. Neighbouring digits on an orange Dutch whisper line must differ in value by at least 4. So if this were a 3, this would have to be a 7, an 8, or a 9. Ratio Kropki. Digits separated by a black Kropki dot must have a ratio of 2 to 1. So if this is a 2, this could be a 1 or a 4, so that 1 will be double the other. And there is no negative constraint, which means that if this is a 2, it is not prohibited for this to be a 1 or a 4. With that, that is all the rules. So I'm going to restart the puzzle to reset the timer, and let's begin. Well, first of all, I want to mention how beautiful this puzzle looks with the beehive and the bees in the hive. That's just great aesthetics. So, Kropki dots. What do we know about Kropki dots? Well, first of all, I can't put 5, 7, or 9 on a Kropki dot, on the black Kropki dot, because half of 5, 7, and 9 results in a number that is not an integer, and twice 5, 7, or 9 results in a 2-digit number, and those are not Sudoku digits. So that means that we can then split the remaining digits up into 2 different categories. There's the 3, 6 category, and then there's the 1, 2, 4, 8 category. Now, where I have 3 cells in a row, that are all within one house, so all within one box or one column, I can't use the 3-6 pair because there is no third digit that goes with that. So because I can't do 3, 6, 12, for example, and I can't do 6, 3, 1.5. So these must be from the 1, 2, 4, 8 set. In particular, the middle digit will be 2 or 4. And that goes for both of those. And I can put these in. Okay. Now, these have to be a 3-6 pair. This does not have to be a 3-6 pair. It could be a 1 with a 2 here, for example. So, I guess thinking about the Dutch whisper lines. So, first of all, if you're familiar with German whisper lines, where the difference has to be at least 5, you'll know that a 5 can't go on a German whisper line, and then you alternate between high above 5 and low below 5. Now, on a Dutch whisper line, you can have a 5, but it only goes next to 1 and 9, and so if the two cells that are next to the 5 see each other, they must be 1 and 9. And that has an odd effect in that it flips the odd evenness of the alternating pattern. Because, sorry, not the odd evenness, the high-lowness. Because if that was low and then that's a 5, now that's high, whereas normally you'd go low, high, low. But I'm also aware there's some potential for restriction. Okay. Let's see if we can do something over here. So if this is 6, then the only digits that can go next to a 6 on a Dutch whisper line are 1 and 2. So that could not be 4 or 8. If this were a 3, then that would have to be 8. So either way, it's not 4. And if that's not 4, this can't be a 1. These two have to be at least 4 apart from each other. So, so one of those is going to be an 8. Because I can't do 4, 2, 1 because because 4, 2, 1, 1 and 4 are not 4 apart. So one of those must be an 8. That makes this a 4. And this is not a 1. That is 2 or 8. That makes this a 2. And now that is a 1, 4 pair. And that's nice because we now have the fact that this must be a low digit. So okay, all of these loops are 6 cells long. So that means that we are going to have alternating polarity, alternating high and low, unless there is a 5. But if there is a 5, there must be 2 5s along the line because we have to alternate the polarity twice. We have to flip the polarity twice. And so that's going to be very restrictive as to how we can put 5s in. because, for example, we can't put a 5 on this loop because, or could we? Actually, if that were a 5, that could be 5. Right, no, because then those two cells would see each other. Yeah, we're going to have difficulty putting 5s on in any case. So the first question, I guess, is can that be a 5? Because if that's a 1, that nominally could be a 5. That would have to be a 9. So in fact, it can't be because I can't put a 9 on a black dot. So that cannot be a 5. So I'm actually going to start coloring digits as high and low. I'm going to use blue for low because that is a coolish color. I will use orange for high because that's a warmish color. Okay, so that can't be a 5. So that must be high. Could this be a 5? If that's 1, 5, 9, then I could do 5 and 1 there. So yes, that could be a 5. That can't be a 5 because it's on a black dot. So that must be low. This can't be a 5 because it's on a black dot, so it must be low. That can't be a 5 because I can't put a 1 or a 9 there, so that must be high. Let's try the high color. And therefore, that makes this low. So that's a 2. That's an 8. This must now be a 3, so that's low, and that's a 6. Okay. These two must be high. They can't be 5 next to a 3. Next to a 3 must be 7, 8, or 9, but I can't put an 8. Oh, sorry, I can only put an 8 of those 3 on a black dot. So that's an 8, making that 4. In fact, something that has just occurred to me, a black dot that is actually on a Dutch whisper line must be a 4-8 pair. It's the only pair that works. So that must be a 4, and that must be an 8. Okay. That is 7 or 9. 4 goes with 8 or 9. So that is definitely high. And that tells me something. That I've had a switch in polarity here. So that must be a 5. That's now 9. That's 1. And 4 goes there. So this is 3 or 4 because it's a low digit next to, but it sees a 1 and a 2. This must now be 6 or 8, so we can mark that as orange as it's a high digit. We now have 4 orange digits in the row, so these must be low digits. And this one must be a 3 because it sees 1, 2, and 4. This must be a 1. That means that these are all high digits. 8 must go into this cell. That is a 1 or a 2. Okay. Right. This must be a low digit. This must be a 5, because if it weren't a 5, I wouldn't be able to switch the polarity again. So that must be a 5. That makes that a 1. That is now a 2. It's the only digit that goes with the 1 on a black dot. And this must be a 9, because it sees a 1 in the column. So we are not switching polarity on this hex. We are still allowed a 5 on there, but it'll, if we're not going to switch the polarity, then it'll either have 2 9s or 2 1s next to it. So we already know that that is low. That could be a 5. Could it? In fact, I need to have another 5 on this line, because I am going to switch. I have already switched polarity again at once, so I need to switch it again. So one of these two is a 5. But if that's a 5, that would have to be a 1, which it can't be. So that has to be the 5. That is now a 1. And then this is a high digit. That can't be a 5, therefore it is a high digit. This now must be a 3 or a 4. The only high digits on a black dot are 6 and 8. So that's a 3 or 4. We can mark that as low. We get a 3-4 pair in the column. That's useful to note. That could be a 5 if they're both 9s, I think. Okay, that needs to be a 1 or a 9 because it's next to a 5. So that has to be a 9. We have a polarity switch on this line. Therefore, I need to have another 5 that does another polarity switch. It can't go there because that can't be a 9. So it has to go here. That's a 5 there, making that a 1. Okay, 5 can't go in either of those by sudoku. So that is a low digit. That is a high digit. 5 can't go there because of that 6 or 8. It's not a 1 or a 9. So that one must be a low digit. And that sees 4, 1, and 2. So that must be a 3. 7 or 9 is still fine there, but a 3 can't go next to a 6. So that's 8 and that's 4. That makes this a 3, which makes this 6. That is now a 7-9 pair. Now this can't be a 5, I've realized, because that would make all 3 of these a 9. So that is 7 or 9. Therefore, one of these two is a 7. So the highest that can be, well, that could be a 4, couldn't it? So that is, it's definitely low. No, 4 goes to 8 and 9. 4 can't go next to 7. So that has to be a 2. The remaining cells here, well, that 8 tells me that that is an 8. These are 4 and 5, and we know the order. By Sudoku, that is a 6, and that is a 7, and this cell here is a 5. We have 2 high digits there, which are 7 and 9 between them. I don't think we know the order yet. Right, this is a high digit, and it's next to a 4, so it must be an 8 or a 9, and it has to be a 9 because there's an 8 in the box in the row. So that's 7, and that's 9. That 9 makes this a 7, and this 9. This 9 up here resolves this 7 and 9. All right. That could be a 5 if that's a 9. That can't be a 5 because there's a 5 in the column. Okay. What about this one? That sees 9 and 8, so that is 6 or 7. The highest digit that a 7 can go next to is a 3. So that's going to be 1, 2, or 3. Maybe there's some Sudoku I can. These 3 digits are 1, 3, and 6. That's not a 3. That's not a 1. That can be any of those. Okay, these 3 digits in this column are 3, 4, and 6. That is not 3 or 4, that's a 6. That gives me a 3, 4 pair up here. And no, that's not true at all. That is, I've miscolored that, that's what's confusing me. 3, 8, and 6. That is not 4 or 8, so that is a 3. No. Wait. What? I have messed up. Yes. My brain is not braining today. That is 3, 8, and 6, as I said, not 3, 4, and 6. So, that sees 3 and 8. So that is a 6. That is a 3, 8 pair. There we go. That makes this a 3. So that is not 3. This digit here must be a 7. Up here we have a 7 and a 2. And these 2 digits are 6 and 4. Okay. Digits in this row are still needed are 2 and 5. That's a 2. That's a 5. So that is not 2. Okay, this is a low digit. I'm seeing 1, 2, and 4. That's a 3. 3 can't go next to 6, so that's 7. That's 8 and 3 resolved. And the 2 and 7 are resolved. Okay. Okay, that can't be 5. That still could be if that's a 1. No. No, if that's a 9. If that's a 5, that's a 9. So either way, that's a high digit. Ah, that can't be a 5 because of this 5. Okay, so that is a low digit. And that is a 3 or a 4. That is a high digit C78, so that is 6 or 9. But 6 can only go next to 1 or 2, and that is a 3 or a 4, so that must be a 9. That does not resolve this. In this column, we need 1, 6, and 8. That's not a 1, that's not an 8. That gives me a 1, 6 pair in the box, so this must be a 2. This 3, I've just noticed, is looking at that. That's a 4. So for the column, I need 1, 6, and 2, which I don't think I can resolve just yet. Okay, that's not a 3, 6. So that must be from the 1, 2, 4, 8. It can't have 8 on it. So there's definitely a 2 on it. But the 2 can't go there, it must go there. That is now 1 or 4. I don't see that I know which it is yet. That 2 does remove a 2 from there, making that a 2. I need a 3 in this row, which has to go here. That's a 1, 4, 6 triple, which makes this 7. We have a 1, 6, 8 triple in the box. That makes that 5. That puts 5 over here. This is 6 or 8 for the row. And I don't know how to resolve that yet. I need a 7 in this box. That has to go there. This is now 1, 3, or 6, and the 3 and 6 in the column means that that's a 1. That makes that 3. That's 6. Let me mark that. That's going to be a 6 and a 1. That makes that an 8. The 1 here makes this a 6, and that is a 1. That gives me a 4 there and a 6 there. We get a 1 there. That is a 6. So I need a 4, which goes here. And I need an 8 and a 9 that goes 8 there and 9 there. And that is an absolutely stunning puzzle. I'm going to go and remove the color so we can enjoy the aesthetics again. Yeah, that's a really, really fun puzzle. The hex pattern and the black dots looking like the bees, absolutely appropriately named. I really enjoyed it. If you liked this solve, then please hit the like button. You can subscribe to see more. You can check out SudokuCon to see me live stream next Saturday. And I would love to hear your comments. I'm looking forward to next time. Be seeing you.